Meow, everybody. Cantonese cat here. You can't make this stuff up. I posted this about a little over 20, 30 minutes ago, and I had a regional post from October 14th of 2023, exactly about a few days after it bottomed, right around the 40s. When I was looking at this, and as any technical analysis, you're supposed to draw lines, but the lines are supposed to mean something. The more it touches points, the better it is. And the less points it touches, the less it means anything, right? When I was looking at this, I was thinking, okay, this may be a meaningless line. Let's draw a line from here and see whether or not I can potentially find where it may bottom. Drew a couple lines here and there. Start thinking, this really looks like a descending brawling wedge. It looks like it went down here, bounced from here, went right through underneath of it, and then back tested this line right here, failed, went back up, and then it tried to go down. This is the most brutal part, actually. A lot of people look at this as kind of like a head and shoulder or inverse head and shoulder pattern. They think that it was going to break out here because it already touched the line, 1, 2, and 3 times. Usually after 3 times or more, the line gets a lot weaker and it's supposed to be able to break through, right? No, it went ahead and formed an all-time low. It went ahead and went down to the 40s, and a lot of people are absolutely devastated. And this caused a lot of psychological trauma. A lot of people ended up leaving the stock. And then I posted this. I don't know how many people saw this post and decided to stay in, or how many people saw this post decided that they wanted to start buying. I don't know. So personally, when I posted this, I spotted it. This actually gave me some confidence that I should be buying Bitcoin miners, actually. And this is around, around October, early October. This is when the whole market was basically just taking a huge dump. Nasdaq was dumping, everything else was dumping. Miners, they were just a falling knife. I was telling my friend Danny I was buying miners. He was like, why? There are no signs that it's coming around. The whales are not in yet. Why are you buying? I was just buying. I mean, it was more like a hunch, but this really gave me a lot more confidence. And I was also buying miners because I sometimes just like catching falling knives. I think that the risk reward is going to be great given time. And when I spotted this, it really gave me a lot more confidence. Now, I did not end up getting into Square at this point. I was busy buying other miners and other fintech stocks, right? Including, I think I was probably still buying Affirm at that time. But I just kept buying other things, and I was going to come back to this. If it ever comes back up and it ever form a higher low, I will buy. And that's exactly what I did. Now, when I spotted this, I really thought it looks like a descending Browning wedge, which is it leans like a bullish pattern, right? And the more touches it has, the more powerful this pattern could potentially work out. But it looks absolutely ridiculous at the time when I drew this. I mean, like, what do you think? So you're going to go from like the 40s all the way up to like 60s, and it's going to form like a little shallow higher low, and it's going to just bounce right back up and try to break through? Like, what are you saying? It's in the 40s. It's going to take like months, years for it to get back up to here. It's never going to happen, right? Yeah, actually, it did happen. It did happen, actually. It went through about like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks of green. Actually, it went a little bit more too. But it went like 7 weeks of green or a little bit more, and it went back to the top of this wedge. When I saw that price went back up to this wedge right here, I was like, I don't know about this. Yeah, I think you're probably going to end up having some kind of rejection form, a little bit of like a higher low. I don't know how high, or I don't know how low the higher low is going to be. But I was just looking and I was like, okay, pattern worked out. I'm going to brag about it maybe in a few months if it ever breaks out, right? And I drew a couple arrows here. I was trying to find some horizontal zones that could potentially bounce from one of which is a horizontal zone right here. It seems to have a lot of history right here. Another zone seems to be right down here, right? It also has a lot of history down here. So I thought it was probably going to either bounce right here or bounce right here. Got rejected, formed a higher low, and then just go back up. Probably going to, back test this and then going higher. That's kind of what my thought was, right? And yeah, sure enough, price got rejected at that level, right? I mean, no surprise. It got rejected. Have a little bit of like a, shooting star kind of candle. Got rejected back down here. Sure enough, right around this level right here, formed a higher low. It's just absolutely ridiculous. It formed a higher low. I was still wondering when it was going to hit down to this level right here. The more I see that the price is kind of hovering over here, I'm going to show you the chart here. So the more I see the price is hovering around here, I thought that, it could go down. But when I was looking at the bull market support band, and I was thinking, okay, so the band is pointing up, looks like it's finding good support over here. There's a potential for it to bounce up there. If it goes down to this level, if the earnings were not good in a couple weeks, that's fine. I keep buying. It could go down to 55. It could potentially go down to even 50. There's obviously some lower levels down here that could hit, right? Am I going to start buying in the 60s? Sure. I'll start putting money in, right? There's no guarantee. So I wanted to be, having a pretty decent sized position in before earnings. And I was going to just, figure it out from there. Earnings came, and this turned out to be so far a higher low, and earnings propelled up to like the high 70s, which is right on top of the wedge right here. So it's still finding rejection right here, post earnings. It could still go down, right? But it's really trying to complete this whole pattern right here that I drew all the way from October, and it looked absolutely insane. I cannot imagine how many people have suffered through this fake or failed inverse head and shoulder, and I cannot imagine how many people ended up selling over here. This chart is absolutely insane. If you look at the RSI on the weekly, it does tell you that, hey, this really looks like maybe a good spot to buy. The tricky thing is, like, all throughout down here, you have like a bullish divergence over here as the price goes down. You see RSI keeps going up, right? So there's like really a strong deceleration of bear trend here. And sure, it's really, really strong bear trend, so it's probably going to need another additional bullish divergence right here. As you see, the price went down, and RSI went up, right? I'll show you what I meant by bullish divergence, right? As you have the price started going down, and the price started going down, and the RSI started trending up. So it's been developing a lot of bullish divergence over here for a very long time. That's why it really was getting a lot of people excited. RSI to keep trending down. That's why it was getting a lot of people excited it was going to break through here, but it didn't. It just slammed right back down. And when I saw the RSI went back down to here, yeah, it's probably a pretty decent bottom, especially if I was able to see this pattern right here. Anyway, I'm not going to go through too much about what I've I just want to brag a little bit. Okay? Just let me brag a little bit. It doesn't happen very often. Now, when you see a pattern like this, you want to see what it means in terms of price target, right? What if it breaks out from here? Where's it going to go first? Well, the first part is going to go back to the top of this descending broadening wedge, is right there, and the price for that is around $93, right? The second part, I was thinking it would probably break back out here, and the price target is going to be 146, right? And if you look at the volume shelf here, it coincides with those prices. I actually did draw a volume shelf here. I was thinking it could go back to the top of the wedge right here, which is going to be the top of this, pretty big volume shelf right here, around, 90. And the second part is going to be probably right up around here in 130s and 140s range, right? You may have a little bit of a volume shelf up here too. But the price really has spent the last couple years around this level, and this area is just, unfortunately, just going to be very, very tough for it to break out from. It looks like we're working on it. We're right at this volume shelf. It's hard for me to tell before earnings when it's going to go up or down. Although, based on everything that we're seeing, based on pattern, everything, it seems like it's going to go up. And I did bet on it going up. I started buying here. After hours, right now we're probably right on top of this volume wedge. Right on top of this wedge right here, and also right on top of this volume shelf right here. Probably going to need a little bit more time to break through and, maybe potentially back test it and going higher. That's kind of how I'm seeing this. And I was looking through Danny's chart, and Danny also posted this today. Obviously, the post-market action hasn't been reflected, right? And I think even the whales don't really know what to expect. Everything looks so equivocal. You have a sell signal there, you have a buy signal there, you have a sell signal, buy signal, sell signal, buy signal, sell signal. The whales don't know what's going to happen. You look at the inflow, outflow, they just haven't done anything for a few weeks. It's just been flat, right? And if you look at the percentages of whales, which is going to be on the third panel here, the whales are typically demarcated by red over here, right? You see the whales kind of been declining, but retail hasn't really come in. Retail is generally demarcated by green. Retail really hasn't been coming in. What's been happening is just a bunch of degenerate gamblers. These are traders. They've just been increasing and placing the bets, but nobody really knew the direction of where it was going to go. Maybe except for certain people. I don't know. MACD didn't tell you which way it was going to go. Our side didn't really tell you which way it was going to go. Wow. But these are a couple of price targets I was looking at based on wedge, based on, potentially a little bit of guide here from the volume shelf. If it ends up breaking up, if it ends up truly completing this pattern right here, that's where I would expect price to potentially go up to. Now, while I have this chart right here, I'm just going to show a few things, because I always like to show a few things. I already showed you on the week. This is a weekly chart. I already showed you the bull market support band. It's been hugging it. And right now it seems to be pointing up finally a little bit. Not too strong, but I think with the post-market price action, if it ended up being sustainable, the band would probably continue to go up as the moving averages continue to go up. The other thing to look at is the Ichimoku cloud. The Ichimoku cloud is right here. It looks like price is kind of pushing against it. And that's another thing too. I wasn't really sure whether or not to be super bullish because price is just right underneath the weekly Ichimoku cloud. But you did have a bullish Tenkan Kijun cross right here, right? So because of the cross, I lean bullish, but because it's underneath the cloud, I lean a little bit bearish. Now with that said, the cloud here is thin. When it comes to the Ichimoku cloud, you can use it just like any resistance or support level. Again, I keep saying this. Red means maybe it serves as a better resistance, and green usually means it serves as a better support. The thicker is obviously the stronger the resistance is, but here it looks like there's a really weak part of cloud that could potentially just attack and pass through. And it looks like it might maybe just doing that, right? Now, if you look at the monthly, that gives you a very different picture. I'm going to try and keep it clean here. Look at the monthly, it gives you a very different picture. What the monthly is showing you is that there's a lot of price history that created a cloud right above. And now that we're starting to form a base, there's a chance that after it goes through a couple of targets, I was talking about the 90s and 130s, 140s, after it passed by all of these targets, it could really hit up to the 130s and 140s up here, which is probably close to the bottom of the cloud. Now, I don't know when it's going to happen, maybe 2024, maybe 2025. I suspect that once it forms a very nice base right here, the next level is going to be up there. Now, how do I know that it's happening? How do I know that it's forming a base here? And how do I know there's a longer term trend change, right? My favorite indicator, the Bollinger Bands. If you look at the Bollinger Band for the monthly 20-month moving average pointing up after pulls market price action, probably going to point up even higher to close up the month. As you can see the side over here at the number 64.77, 65.1. There's a trend change. I think might be at the beginning of a trend change here for the longer term. And because I see that, I really think maybe over the next 12 to 18 months, there's a chance for it to accelerate on its bullishness, and it could potentially just keep going up. As long as it keeps on crawling up, and as long as price keeps on being above the basis right here on the upper part of the Bollinger Band. We'll see what happens. Nothing's ever guaranteed, right? We'll see what happens. One more thing too I want to point out. You know how I have you? Here is the Bollinger Band. You know how bad Square has been? Formerly known as Square Block. You know how bad the price action has been? This is the monthly chart with a Bollinger Band, right? It bounced off at the bottom, but it didn't really bounce up. It bounced down, went sideways, and then it went back down to test it again at the other end. You know what else I saw this with? Let me see. I'm going to pull up the NASDAQ here. And I'm going to go all the way back in history. I'm going to show you the dot-com bubble. When it got bursted, is exactly what Square did. It went down to from the upper Bollinger Band to the lower Bollinger Band, bounced down, and then touched the Bollinger Band again on the other side. This is how bad Square has been. This is how bad Block has been. I think that it's bounced back up enough that the trend's starting to, become a little bit more bullish, right? So I think it's a good entry point where we're at right now. Again, nothing is ever guaranteed. But I just want to show you the striking picture again. It went from the upper Bollinger Band, went to the lower Bollinger Band, bounced down, and then went and touched the Bollinger Band on the other end. I think it bottomed. And I'm going to keep buying right around here as the 20-month moving average continues to grow up. Seems to be a pretty decent risk-reward ratio for me. Now, this is not financial advice for you. This is more of a journal for myself. I'm just telling you what I'm doing, sharing you my thoughts. I hope it makes sense to you. And I want you to do your own thing. I don't want you to follow me. Although if you want to follow me, that's fine. The earnings numbers actually wasn't that great. I think the guidance was probably what really got Wall Street a little bit more hyped up. They missed the EPS by quite a lot, which is, not a very good number. But I think the guide was really what made it. I want to show you how far Square has come. For a lot of people, they may not remember how bad news has been for Square. There was a short report back in March of 2023, and the price went to, to the low 60s. I'll show you. So this is one of the posters talking about a very, very bad short report by Hindenburg Research, and this was around like late March or so, and price just kind of went down like 14%. This is what block holders have had to endure all this time. So if you've been in the stock, if you didn't sell, if you end up buying down here, I want to congratulate you. Again, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. It's been 20 minutes. I'm going to let you go. Bye.